Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome again to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. As always, I am your host, Marco Mazzola, and we have three of our guests with us today. Say hello, Mila.
Hello.
And Larry.
Hey.
And Bruno.
Hey, guys.
All right, how's everybody doing today?
Great.
Excited to talk a little 80s film?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
A fun cult classic movie. One I grew up watching. Ultimately, it's one of my favorite movies, even though it does not hold up to this day. We are talking all things Big Trouble in Little China by John Carpenter, which is a big news flash to Larry just moments ago.
Literally just
Like
happened.
fun facts.
Starring
Completely
Kurt
blew
Russell,
my mind.
Kim Cattrall, yes, and
Yes.
everybody's basically token Asian. Right, with James
Hong.
James Hong. I
Hong.
mean, he's been in everything,
Victor
right?
Wong.
He's the guy they need. Anytime you need an Asian guy coming into a movie or whatever,
It's
they
him.
call him up. He's still kicking. I confirmed he is still alive. I don't want to kill him off early. He's hanging in there. He was Poe's dad in Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Plus, the resume, the IMDb list is forever on this guy, and he plays Lo Pan. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's so just classic, especially in the
Perfect.
80s and 90s.
Yes.
Just
He is there.
Everything about him is just iconic because you just know. You're like, hey, isn't that guy from
Yes.
so-and-so
You can just
fill in
say,
the
yes,
blank?
that's him.
You're like, yep, that's
Right.
the guy. No one
He
even
was
have to look.
The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman.
Yes.
Remember that? He
Yes.
was essentially the bad guy in that movie as well. All right, so let's get into it because this is ultimately, like I said, one of my favorite movies of all time. It doesn't really hold up, but I don't really care.
No,
It's
not at all.
Still
No.
so Amy watched it with me last night because she had never seen it, and her quote was basically, "That was one of the worst movies. I'm really glad I watched."
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's,
oh, yeah.
it's a terrible movie in every way.
I completely
It really
agree.
is.
Because, yeah, I just watched it for the first time last night.
You did too.
And I had a similar reaction. I was watching it. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I love it.
What is happening to
so
you right
dumb.
now?
This is so
best if you're
horrible.
drinking.
I need it
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a few drinks to watch this
Yeah.
movie.
But you know what?
Yeah, it was like
But
1
I
a.m.
don't-
when I was watching it, so I was like,
I
oh,
don't
yeah.
But it's
think
a
you need. I don't
classic.
think
The
yeah,
perfect
well,
time to watch one of those.
Well, you say that you need to be drinking to watch this movie. But wait a minute. When we first watched this movie, we weren't drinking.
Yeah,
and
that was the 80s.
right. But here we are though going.
It doesn't hold up.
I mean, it definitely doesn't hold up. I mean, there's so many wrong, stereotypical,
Oh.
like putting people
Yeah.
like, hey, you're Asian. This is your role.
Yo.
This is
Yeah,
how you act.
it's like
low
every
pan.
you could read
it's
out
like-
every single person they hired for that. That's like,
You know-
this is your role.
Lo Pan with the Fu Manchu mustache. I mean, that's
Oh, I mean, it's straight up in the genre of how can we make the most stereotypical movie, right? Like,
How can we
take
make the
all of
Asians
tropes.
more
Yeah,
Asian?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
More
God,
stereotypically
would
Asian.
not,
It's
you know,
awful.
Nowadays, certainly would never be made. But back
No.
then, it was
No.
a lot
God,
different.
no.
It was a lot different.
Yeah,
It was the 80s. It was a lawless wasteland of movies.
and they were just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. You
This
know,
one stuck.
This one did
I don't
stick.
think it did great at the box office per se,
Yeah,
but it's
no.
become a cult
It's a cult
classic.
classic.
Yeah.
Right,
You
but
watch
it's
it.
like, here's the thing,
Man,
though.
you got to see that.
when you look at that movie though, how much was the budget? Like that's what I would want to know because again, you have to think,
$30.
maybe
Kurt
Max.
Russell was pretty big back then.
Right, and that's-
right?
My
Yeah,
bad.
he was a
Cattrall.
big movie star.
Look,
My
back
bad,
then. Not
40
as big
bucks.
now, but
Well, so, but here's the thing, though. You have to look at the actors that they have, right? Again, it's in the 80s. You got Kurt Russell. He was big. Kim Cattrall. She was, I don't know.
She was hot at the time. Like everybody was talking
I
about
mean, she's coming off a police academy at those
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
So
That was huge.
That was huge. So she's a name. John Carpenter's doing it. Oh, the same guy that did Halloween that has other movies behind him. So you had
Yeah.
names behind
this is 86, just for reference. This one
Okay.
just came out in 86.
So you have names behind it. So to think that, and again, it's the mid '80s. Karate movies are still definitely in play. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah, it was
still.
Bloodsport. Right?
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
have all those kind of
Kid,
movies.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Right.
when did the Karate Kid? Well, when did Karate
So
Kid
a lot
come
of
out?
those,
Same time.
a lot of those
Okay.
karate movies and those martial arts kind of movies are still influential in the mainstream, right?
Yep.
So to to throw this at the wall and be like, hey, let's do, we're going to have martial arts meets magic and all this lore and kind of like a live action comic book movie practically. Let's see what everybody, how everybody, to see how everybody feels about it and how they react. And so I think it was a good attempt, I guess, at the time. For what we got?
It was comedy filled with some big name actors. I think they were just going for a cash grab, right? They were just like, hey, let's throw some wacky stuff at the wall.
It was.
Yeah, it really was, right?
So let's fill everybody in on the movie itself and what happens and sort of a rundown,
a synopsis.
A Reader's Digest version of this movie, right?
What is the synopsis of the movie?
So we just watched the trailer, by the way. That was also enlightening and interesting to watch. But you have Kurt Russell, who is your main star, obviously, plays Jack Burton, right?
He's
a truck driver.
I'm here.
Yeah, he's a truck driver who is now, he's based out of Sacramento. He's born in California, so he's driving to San Francisco to meet up with his friend, is played by Dennis Dunn, who played Wang, whose family owns a restaurant, the Black Dragon Pool or something. Restaurant. So they're out, at the docks, basically, where they're the trucking, where he's offloading all the things that he's been trucking around, and they're having their mahjong games, which is it was very stereotypical Asians playing the betting games. Like that was really, if you watch it now,
because that's what happens when you go into Chinatown.
Apparently, everywhere you go, it's rampant.
All the time.
All right. So he's playing his friends. His friend owes him money, wins the big game, but he needs to go, before he can give him the money that he owes him, he's got to go pick up a girl at the airport. Turns out to be his fiance.
And that's where it all goes downhill.
And that's where it all goes downhill. Right? So the underlying fact of the whole movie is
she's kidnapped by
the street, by almost like a triad type, Lords of Death. And and she gets taken and sold.
And the powerful evil sorcerer.
Played by James Hong, plays David Lopan, who is born before Christ,
2,000 years ago.
Over 2,000 years ago, basically 268 BC, right, is born, and then he is cursed without having blood or flesh.
Well, without a physical body.
Without a physical body, but he can still manifest. He's like this little crippled old man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but he needs to marry a woman with green
eyes.
Green
he has to marry her to appease one god, and then kill her to appease the emperor, so that he can become flesh and blood.
It's a complicated life.
Use all the mystical, magical energy
lucky
to
for me, there's
rule over
two
the
green-eyed women I know.
Yes, because then shows up Kim Cattrall at the airport. She plays Gracie Law, and there's a naming. She's a lawyer, and her name is Gracie Law.
Gracie Law.
Did we get lazier in the 80s or
very
what?
Clever.
We
Right?
need a name.
We need a name. She's a lawyer. What's her name? Gracie Law.
Small tangent. There's actually, if you can look it up, there's some data that seems to show that people tend to go into jobs that sort of reflect their name.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a small percentage of that, and it's actually it's non-trivial percent of people that actually do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not. I'll have to look that up and find out.
Probably because they keep getting reminded of it ever since they're little.
There's a lot of
So
doctors with the last name Lim. There's, it's pretty intense. Yeah,
that's pretty. I have to look that up. That's pretty.
It's a rabbit hole that I fell into.
That's one interesting
and
rabbit
the
hole.
guy getting eaten by the giant snake.
Yeah.
The rabbit hole we all end up down. I'm trying to make a pumpkin bread recipe. Why am I watching a guy getting eaten by a snake?
What am I doing? What am I doing?
You're like, oh my God, where
How the hell did this
am I?
happen?
You suddenly realize where you are on the internet, and you're like, how did I get here?
This has been 3 hours of my life.
I need to erase my history.
Yes, quickly. So we get Kim Cattrall gets involved. She's actually trying to help somebody else get into the country, and it all gets confused as all the 80s stuff does. Right? There's
There's always confusion.
There's always confusion.
And then
identity. I don't know who you are. The misidentity of things, and so now enters Lopan and the Wing Kong exchange. Oh god, it just gets worse as we say it out loud. It literally gets worse as you say it out loud, right? They're chasing the triad, the Lords of Death, down to get Miao Yin, the fiance, back.
That's the girl. Yeah.
That's the girl, and they chase her. They chase him to Chinatown, of course, into a back alley. How that truck got in that back alley, I have no idea.
I know. I was like,
there's no way that thing fit down that alley.
It
took the turn into that alley. No friggin'
It's just good driving.
Just good. It's all in the reflexes.
Listen,
Oh yeah.
As we know, so if you watch the movie, it's all in the reflexes. They get
It's
down
simply 'cause
there.
it's John
They come
Carpenter.
upon the
No.
funeral, right?
Yep.
Of the good
That's right,
guys,
that's
the
right.
white turban
Yep.
guys, and the
Yep.
red turban guys show up, and they're the bad guys. Now we all notice the token bad guy in there, right? Is it
I
The Asian
think
guy?
so.
the Asian guy who was the
That
same
doesn't
guy
narrow it
from Die Hard? He was the guy who ate the chocolate bar.
Yes.
In the lobby.
Yep.
He's the guy. He plays the bad with the mustard, with the long,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
long hair.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
plays the bad Asian guy in every movie.
In every
especially
movie, yeah.
especially in the 80s and the
Right,
90s. So he's there, and then
This
the
is
yellow
another to his
turbans come up
list.
to show up to help them out, and just everybody gets annihilated. There's this massive shootout. There's all martial artists with a lot of guns.
A lot of guns.
Lots of guns. Some martial
Lots of
arts
guns,
was
lots
obviously
of not
useless.
guns.
They also kind of pioneered the whole crouching dragon fighting style in this, right? Like there was a
Yeah,
lot
there's
of
a lot of wire
there's a lot
work.
of wire work.
Oh my gosh, the
flipping around.
wire work was insane.
Incredible.
I noticed that the whole movie. I'm like, oh my
Non-stop,
gosh.
all the way to the end. So you get this shootout in this back alley. So not a lot of, I mean, there's some fighting, but a lot of Uzis, a lot of submachine guns, a lot of just being get taken out. The truck, crystal perfect. Not one bullet hits that fucking truck.
Well,
or the glass.
Because it's the
There
truck.
there's bullets flying both ways. The red turban guys are sitting next to the truck. The yellow and white guys are facing the truck.
Look,
they all
nobody's
have
trying to hit
guns.
the truck, so they didn't hit the truck.
You ever shot a new like they're spraying and praying. They are spraying and praying to hit anybody that will fall. That truck doesn't take one shot.
Except the truck.
The windshield doesn't take one
Yeah,
shot.
I mean,
just
they
like
weren't,
the
they
best
weren't
truck
aiming
ever.
for the truck.
They weren't aiming for
Marco.
anything. They were aiming for anything in front of them, spraying. Those guns were literally moving side to side like this. I know
Yeah,
it's
they were
visual,
going
it's on
crazy with
podcast.
it.
They're precision killers.
Apparently, because when you shoot
every
at like
shot
a
is on purpose.
30 to 40 degree
Even if it
angle,
looks random.
constant fire, you're a precision
Every
shooting.
shot is intentional, Marco.
Apparently. And yet they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Then who shows up? The three storms. Right
Yeah.
now,
Yes,
here's what we're getting.
we
the
got the
three
magic
We got the
guys.
magic guys floating in. We have rain, thunder, and lightning. Right, who work
Yeah,
for
but I think
Lopan.
you've got to paint the picture, right? They're dressed in very super traditional sort of what
Giant basket
Americans
hats.
think Chinese look like.
Think
Yeah.
Right?
Raiden with giant helmet, giant hats on.
I mean, not
They
much
were
bigger
huge,
than Raiden,
big
to be
hats.
honest.
big. There were big baskets on their
Yeah,
head.
it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
That
definitely
wasn't
more
just
like
a basket. That was like
Yeah.
a basket.
Where it was covering their whole face. You had to lift them up to see
Yeah.
It was
their
literally
Or,
just
like, get a
what
camera under there and
Americans
you're like,
thought
oh, there he
at
is.
the time
Yes.
Chinese people look like.
face. Oh
or
my
dressed.
god, the robes,
And it was
the
terrible.
capes,
Oh God.
so
giant baskets on their head.
Oh my
I
god.
mean,
It was
just
wonderful.
I mean,
Oh, I mean,
unbelievable.
they're kind of like
Giant-
umbrellas. I mean, they work
They're
well.
giant umbrellas. Yeah, but they're wicker, so like there's rain getting through there.
Yeah, but you don't know. You don't know. 'cause
With
you're
the
not-
magic.
You're
There's
not
the
yeah,
magic.
yeah,
You
they're,
don't
they're
have
magic, so that doesn't,
So
you know.
Jack takes the truck, through them. They go side, and over because there's three of them.
Well,
One
sure.
goes
Yep.
left, one goes right, one flips over. 'cause
That's
that's
what-
gonna
and
happen.
then
That's what you do.
in-
And who's in front of him? Lopan, 7 foot something, standing there smiling at him. He runs over him. They say through. That guy got knocked down like a weeble
yeah.
wobble.
Oh, my
Like, boom,
gosh,
boom,
yeah.
and he got done. They stopped the truck for no good reason.
Which
Would you
they-
stop?
Well,
yeah.
you got to back up to see if you got what
Yeah.
you got.
I would back the truck up and see if I'd run over him
I would
again.
just kept going.
Yes, I would have kept going
Yeah.
too.
Just keep going.
Everything that just happened, this guy's obviously with them, and he looks the craziest out of all of them. I just kept
Yeah,
on
I'm not.
trucking.
I'm not hanging out to see what's good.
Yeah, I don't want to see if the
Yeah.
guy's in my grill or if he's wrapped up under one of my tires. I'll feel
I'm
that
just
on the
gonna-
highway. If
Wait
I
a
keep
minute.
going.
Wait a minute.
Although
I
there
got
was
a question. Have you ever been in a movie yourself? You don't know anything about what it's like to be in a movie.
To run over somebody in a movie.
So when you're trying to run in a movie, first things first, you got to fall many times.
Many
you gotta
times.
fumble with the keys.
If you
So that
ever
you-
get a death stroke on the bad guy, you never check to see if he's dead, and you never
keep
give him
moving.
another attack to try to make
No,
sure he's
and don't
dead.
look back.
Always never look back.
Never look back. You're gonna fall.
Right.
You're gonna run 120 miles an hour at your run, and the bad guy's still gonna be who's walking is still gonna be right behind you.
Well, sure.
Right.
no matter what happens, no matter how
that's the
fast you
sham-
run,
Nightmare logic.
that
That's the
bad guy
shambling
walking
monster
is still right
technique.
behind you.
That's always pissed me off.
So they get out of
They
the
walk.
truck. Lopan walks around the truck and then smiles at him with his eyes and the mouth start glowing. The white
Start glowing, yeah.
Oh,
glowing
yeah.
comes out
And
and,
he's like, "Don't
blinds
look."
Jack for a moment. They run away from the truck now, so they leave his truck. Oh my god! And he splashes a little water in his face, so his eyesight's come back, which
'Cause
is
that-
good.
yeah.
It took Solo a long time after the carbonite freeze. This was
Yeah.
a couple of seconds. He's good, but he was in there for a while.
But he was.
Yeah.
He was stuck in there for a while.
Yeah.
So then they
Different
hide.
universe. Different universe.
They see the triad again. They start running again. They hide. And it just goes on and on. They finally get back to the restaurant, and they gotta get this girl back. And now Jack's truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh
they-
yeah.
so
Big.
they-
That's a big
So they're gonna
reason.
they got to
It's the
go
truck.
to the
You can't leave the truck.
right.
Yeah.
So they
It's the
find
truck.
out
It's
from
the truck.
Eddie,
got
played
insurance
by
on it,
Donald
though.
Lee. They find out Miao Yin is being sold, basically at a whorehouse.
Yeah.
Right. They have her there, and she's
Human trafficking.
Human trafficking, but
Mm-hmm.
there also is a lot of all that kind of funness going on
At its
there.
finest.
At its finest. So
Yep.
Jack disguised himself, really good disguise, by the way. And
Oh.
the Jack and the glasses.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's
That was
Superman, and all of a
great.
sudden he's
Yeah.
got glasses on. Nobody knows who he
Nobody
is.
knows who he is. Well, he's got the brown
You're
blazer.
Superman for
that
70
doesn't
years.
work? That doesn't work?
No, it's worked for Superman for like 90 years.
I know.
I think
Well,
so. I think it's all right.
I think right
Yeah.
there, you've got your proof.
You're good.
Boom,
Put
boom,
good, horn rim glasses on, and you're ready to rock and roll. You're a completely different person. So then the storms find him there and find her, and they take her away.
And then finish the story, hilarity ensues.
yeah, I
I
suppose.
mean, it's a comedy,
Yeah.
right? It's essentially a
It
comedy
is.
of errors of well,
But it's a comedy action flick. You know what I
super
mean?
racist
Yeah.
comedy action flick, right?
Yes,
Like,
Exactly.
super 80s comedy racist action flick. This moniker can go on for a while.
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's a goofy movie. That
It just gets goofier.
yeah.
Oh
The
my
more the
God.
movie goes on,
Oh
it
my
gets
gosh.
Just everything,
goofier.
everything about it.
It just
it's-
piles on.
It's like a chase. It's a never-ending chase scene.
Yeah.
You know, like
never-ending
that's
chase. They're trying to
that's
get the
how
girl,
that's how I
yeah.
feel. Like the
Yeah.
whole
They
movie,
get the truck back and
Never-ending
get the
it's just a
girl.
never-ending chase, and then you
They go to the
they
Wing
bring
Kong
all these-
Exchange.
Yeah, and it's like they bring all these different
Yeah.
characters, and you have like the cast is just so
Egg Shen.
vast.
Oh.
So
and it's
so
like,
then,
Love us some
so then
Egg Shen.
And
zoom
even
out,
every
right?
single.
Why did this movie hold up? Why is it still a cult favorite?
Because it's so cheesy.
Like,
It
what-
is cheesy.
It's
It is
cheesy in all the
funny.
best ways.
cheesiness of it? Is it
It's funny.
the characters? Is it the story?
It's like the-
like
it's
why
like-
does
I mean,
it
I
hold
think it's
up?
all of it.
I think,
really.
yeah,
for
it's
me,
like-
for me, it's all of it.
Yeah, for me, it's like the cheesiness, the cringiness of it almost, but also like the
super cringe. I like.
Now it is. It wasn't back then.
Yeah.
No,
but then it's
absolutely
like
not.
also the
came out in
practical
86. I was
effects
10.
are
I
so
wasn't cringing with
wild,
any of it.
like all the monsters and
I
stuff
didn't
like
realize
that,
how
and
bad it was.
all that. It's
Nobody
like,
knows. No, nobody knew. Nobody
No.
knew.
It's just a bunch
we
of
weren't as
different things
woke
put
back
together.
then as we are now to realize this shit
I'm
don't
wondering,
work.
like, this is one of those you talked about
Weird
this. I
fight
think in one of
scenes,
your
too.
earlier podcasts of the guilty pleasure movies.
Yep.
This is definitely one of the guilty pleasures, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like I feel that we're not. There's certain things here in this day and age that we're not supposed to like laugh at.
Right.
yeah.
But we watch this movie and we do it. So it's almost like secretly we're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're getting away with this. But you continue to watch it because it was, and I think that's part of the cultness of it,
Yeah.
right? It's like, we watch these old movies from like the 80s that they couldn't even, you couldn't even write a tenth of that movie in today's
Right.
day and
They
age.
didn't
even
care
have a
about
storyboard
sensitivity
for
at
that.
all.
No way.
Yeah, they were right. There was no sensitivity. So I think that part of the reason why it holds up the way it does in this day and age. It's for people that are in our mid to mid 40s and stuff like that. Like we watch these things. If we grew up in the 80s, like for us, it was hilarious. It's cringy. We kind of watch it with like one eye looking away when it's on screen. Like you don't want to look away because you really don't
You
want
know
to
you're not
admit
supposed to like
Yeah,
it.
You're not supposed to like it, but
You're
you
like-
like you
you're
don't
like,
want to
no,
admit
I
that it's
hate that
funny,
movie,
but it
but
is
then you're like,
hilarious.
I think one of the things that makes it.
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where you got to read the room to see how everyone else thinks about the
Yeah,
movie.
so
Yeah,
don't
you look
watch it
around.
by yourself.
You're like,
Is it
oh
okay to laugh
yeah,
at this?
no, it's like I hate that movie. It's
Hate
so
that movie.
insensitive. But then when you're with the right people, you're like, oh my
Like, oh my God,
No,
did you
but
see that?
Shit
That's
is
great.
awesome.
I think it's important. Like, I heard what's his name, Noah Trevor talking.
Trevor Noah, yeah.
Trevor Noah. Sorry, yeah, interviewed recently, and he was talking about comedy in context, right? So he was saying something along the lines of, the interviewer was asking, don't you think that something you said, this joke that you made, is insensitive and probably shouldn't have been made, and you're promoting a stereotype? And he said, depending on the context of that joke, it's either okay to do that or isn't okay to do that, depending on what you're saying and what the context. I think that matters. So the context of this movie, made in the 80s, made as a comedy, right? At that time, it was acceptable, clearly, because
Right.
they made the movie. And then I feel like when we're watching it as people who saw it first when we were kids, as kids, you don't know anything about society. You don't understand racism that well. You don't understand any of that. You don't understand the representation that's coming through. We didn't know that it was bad to represent Asian cultures the way they did.
Yeah.
And so like you just laughed because they made a funny joke or there was slapstick comedy. And
Yeah.
there's a ton of that in this movie.
Yeah.
And so I
Absolutely.
think when you look back at it, and when somebody says to me, hey, Big Trouble in Little China, that was hilarious, I think back to then and think, I was laughing at that stuff because like they fell on their face. They made there was these bad fight scenes, but it was cool because I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then you look at it now with your adult glasses and you're like, oh, this
like,
really isn't right.
yeah.
We shouldn't have done that. Right?
I put my 80s glasses on. To see
Yeah,
it.
you have to put it. You have to look at it with your 80s glasses on.
Yeah, and like you said, Bruno, it's you have to look at it in the context that it was made, and
Yeah.
you know what, and as shitty as we look at it now and go, oh my God, it's so racist. You can't stereotypical racist. You can't do that. It was absolutely hilarious at the time.
I was about to say, it's funny, though.
I mean, not for nothing, but Mr. Miyagi.
Super racist.
Super racist, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pat Morita he was supposed to portray this old school and,
Like
and
the
he was
wise
and he was,
Asian.
and he
Yeah.
was born here. Like
Yeah.
if we watch early Happy Days, he was Arnold, right?
Yeah.
So like he's as
He leaned into that.
Huh?
He leaned into that heavy.
Oh yeah.
He did, but you don't know why, right? You don't know if he needed money at the time. You don't know. For him, he's probably like, yeah, this is how Asians are portrayed in movies, right? So
Yeah.
it just becomes a natural,
Yeah.
self-fulfilling thing. I don't necessarily blame him for leaning into it,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
but it's tough.
There's a
you're right.
documentary on him. Did you see it?
No, not yet.
Yeah,
So
it's
actually,
really good.
makes
as
me-
I was scrolling through James Hong and the 50 million things that he's done,
Yeah.
he's actually on that. I saw that he's actually on that documentary about
Yeah.
Pat.
I was actually about to
Pat
bring
Morita.
that up.
and I was gonna. And as I'm scrolling through, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch that."
Yeah, it's good.
because I want to watch that.
Yeah,
it's really good.
I watched like a little section of it. Like it was like a clip or something, and it was like back then those were like pretty much the only roles you
Yes.
could get.
Yeah.
And he was like,
Right.
he's gonna try his very best as an actor, even if it's one of those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and he
do what
just
you gotta
kept
do.
getting movies, getting shows
Yeah,
like
keep
that.
those checks coming.
Getting movies
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
you gotta make
It
a
was actually,
paycheck.
I saw him in it was an old like movie. It was about like World War II or whatever, and he was like one of the generals. So it was like a young Pat Morita, and I was like, holy shit, that's
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi.
Yep.
But he was like 20 something years old, like a wicked young Pat Morita. And I
Yeah.
was like, whoa.
Damn.
But again,
crazy.
it's play. Hey, we need an Asian guy, and
Yeah.
Yep.
you need to play the Asian.
Right.
And I do that in quotes because that's.
Yeah.
That's what it was back then.
Yeah.
And
But
as
we have
time
James
goes
Hong
on-
for that.
Exactly, right?
Yes,
We're
always.
spinning everything.
Yeah.
So where are we now? We get to the Wing Kong Exchange. They get out, but they get out with Margot, who's a reporter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
There's the
So an
other
extra character, yeah.
the extra
Yeah, I was like,
character.
oh, yeah,
'Cause she ends
that
up hooking
chick.
up with Eddie, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's
Yep.
up hooking up with Eddie,
Yep.
absolutely.
Played by Kate Burton.
It's like, you could come with me
Yep.
if you want.
Yeah.
Yep. And so they get out with her, but they don't get everything. They don't get Miao Yin, and they still don't have Jack's truck.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now they're gonna basically what?
Because
they have to go back again, essentially.
Yeah, they have to
Right.
go back in because now the storm clouds and the evil guy.
But they're taking
they've
Gracie
got-
Law.
Yeah, so now they got both of them.
Yes, they took her, that
Yeah.
weird, Bigfoot gorilla creature.
Oh, I love
that
the
comes out of
Bigfoot
freaking
gorilla
nowhere.
creature.
The
I'm like,
sewer
what is
monster
that?
just comes out. This is where it starts getting really bad.
Yeah, this is where it
has
turns, is when the Bigfoot
it has
gorilla
the
monster.
people. It starts getting really bad. Like it was already bad, but now we're getting like creatures involved, right? So it's not
Oh,
just stereotypical Asian people who are flying around on wires and using magic.
Well,
now the creatures start coming.
Well,
Oh,
now
yeah.
it's the fantasy. Right?
Yeah.
Now we're crossing over into the fantasy realm
Yeah.
of this movie, and
Big
that's
ape-looking, weird-looking thing like drags her
Yeah.
in, and so now she's the second girl with green eyes. So
Yep.
now
Yep.
Lopan's
Now we got
gonna
two.
kill one and marry the other, essentially.
Kill two birds
Gracie
with one
Law
stone.
and
Yeah.
marry Miao Yin to stay.
This is an FMK version of.
To live out his earthly pleasures is what he says
Yep.
with
FMK.
Miao Yin.
yeah.
Yep.
So we're gonna kill Gracie Law and bang Miao Yin. That's fine. All right, we're good.
Got
we
it.
know what his deal
Noted.
is. All 10 of them, whatever the hell how tall he was with his giant booty.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
was funny because you never really see him walk too much.
No, he
'Cause you
kinda
know
just
he's on a
hovers.
giant. No, but like even
Well, because
afterwards.
he's probably on huge stilts.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
on
yeah, no,
massive, like
absolutely. Yeah,
Frankenstein
yeah,
type
yeah.
Oh,
stilts
yeah.
to make him that tall. So and the makeup was
The makeup.
ridiculous with the blue and the black eyeliner.
Oh my
I'm
God,
like,
yeah.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's
Lord.
bad.
Well, you gotta
was
make him look
straight.
otherworldly.
It was straight out of a stereotypical Asian movie. It was
It
ridiculous.
was so,
It was insanity.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about how much of like a heartthrob Kurt Russell was, and he absolutely leaned into it in this
Yes.
film, which was
with the tank
which
top
is a
on.
weird
Oh, yeah.
part.
He's wearing like a pullover, like one of those old, like, almost looks like a burlap type. You know what I mean? One
Yeah,
of those
it was a
pullo-
tank- white
and he-
tank.
No, but he was at first he was
At
wearing the
first,
pullover.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
just randomly when they're first running away from the triad and they're going through the little tunnel. He just pulls it off.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
And
doesn't
after
he now
comes out
have
the other
like
side-
his
because
T-shirt? I
at the
noticed
time, because
his
at the time
T-shirt.
he was like the hot
Tank
guy
top.
on
Wasn't it a
in
t-shirt?
Hollywood,
Or
right?
His tank top. It
so you
has
can
like
show
the
more
Japanese
muscles.
flag on it and a
Yeah,
samurai
no, it was
on
like
it
a
too.
sunset. It was like a sunset.
Or like a sunset like that,
It was
yeah.
like a sunset, but very Asian inspired.
Yeah, I was like, oh look.
But he was in Chinatown. Maybe
And
he
he's,
picked it up
and he's
there.
got like the hair feathered back. And,
Yo,
and
the feathered hair.
Yeah.
1980s.
Kurt Russell
Wonderful.
feathered hair.
Absolutely great.
Absolutely.
And Kim Cattrall was all, damsel in distress.
Yep. But even though she wasn't supposed to be, right? Like she was at the beginning, she was very no nonsense. She's the lawyer. She can handle herself. She doesn't need a man.
Yeah, but in the 80s,
type
that
thing.
tended to happen.
And then that just got completely
It tended to
squashed.
somehow
no,
happen.
exactly.
Always.
Every
which
time.
is part of the stereotype of this movie. And that gets completely washed away. And now again, like you said, she's the damsel in distress. And needs
I'm like,
to be
I didn't even
rescued.
think about it. I was like, so when's she gonna get killed or kidnapped?
Yeah, and she did. She got
Definitely
And I'm
kidnapped.
like,
She
now
gets
it
kidnapped
is.
and almost killed, right? So she gets, they're gonna marry. And then Egg Shen comes aboard with his demon bag and all the potions and everything.
Oh
all the,
my God.
All the things to he just
He's
the gem
awesome.
bomb
he was
things.
awesome and he was so the worst.
Everything
Oh, yeah.
that I've ever
Oh,
seen
yeah.
him in,
Yep.
he's always
Played
played
by
like that.
Victor Wong.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of things too.
What else do you remember him in? Don't you look it up?
I don't know. I'd have to look
Anybody?
it up.
Nope.
Not me.
The Golden Child. He was the
Oh
head
my
monk who picks his
God.
nose. He's like, you're just gonna rub that right in there. Like, you go to the cleaners because that's gonna get expensive. You're gonna get that before that freezes and cut yourself. I want
wanna
the knife, please. And only a man whose ass is narrow can fit
fit-
down these steps. Don't
so
spill the water.
that-
What are you, Monty Hall now? Don't
Yeah,
spill the
don't
water.
spill the water.
I got your knife. Now turn on the goddamn lights.
So the thing. So I'm looking at like different art for the movie that
posters,
was,
yeah.
the posters that were released in like different places, right? And we talk about how she's supposed to be the damsel in distress. Well, in the actual American like posters, you don't really see her. It's just Kevin Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. Jesus.
get there.
Yeah.
Jack Russell
eventually.
Take your time. Take
Jack
your
Russell
time.
Terrier. So it's like Kurt Russell's out there like being Kurt Russell, but in some of these other ones, she's literally like the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, sure. You gotta play for all the
And
different
it's just
audiences.
so
100%
funny.
the
Like,
Oh, yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and like that was just like
Does
the
that
whole,
look like a Drew Struzan poster, the painted one? He did a lot of those.
Did he?
Do you everybody know who that guy is? By the
No.
way,
I'm not familiar with him, but I'm sure
you
I've
have
seen
to
a
look it
lot
up.
of
So
his work.
Yeah,
there is
same. I'm sure I've seen
Netflix. Check Netflix first. It's either Netflix.
Did he
or,
do a lot of
there is
80s
a
posters?
so there is a complete documentary on him. He is the guy. He did all the Star Wars posters, all the Harry Potter posters.
That's why they're all
Indiana
in the same,
Jones.
the same
yeah.
pose and the
Oh,
same.
that makes
same
a
color
lot
palette.
of sense.
Painted
Right.
montage looking.
Yeah.
He did all of them. That's
cool.
Back to the
Now that I
Future.
think about it, those
Then
do.
this-
The
Look up
thing
Drew
is, the art style
Struzan.
does look
He's
similar, or the
he's-
colors.
He's the James Hong of the movie poster world.
Fair
you need
enough.
somebody to do your poster, you call Drew Struzan. He's still alive too. He doesn't really do as much anymore, but he'll come back and do some
You know what
things.
that poster
he did
you
a
just
lot of
showed
like the
us?
Steven Spielberg.
Larry
and,
just flashed a
Oh,
picture
wow.
around.
Those
That
posters.
poster looks a lot like
all of the others.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a
and
lot
all
of
the
them.
Star Wars,
But
all the Indiana Jones.
at quick glance look like the Indiana Jones one.
Yep.
Yeah,
he did
yeah, I
those.
was thinking about that one.
I was
Yeah.
like, are you on the right
When
one?
Yeah.
you really look at all those posters, you can see the same hand, how he
The-
highlights,
Yeah.
how he does like a lot of that white sort of like flash, like almost like you're putting stars when you take paint and you flick it, and it's got that like speckly effect.
the,
Yeah,
the tagline
like the
of this
spatter.
poster is Big Trouble in Little China, a mythical action adventure comedy kung fu monster ghost story.
Oh boy.
Well, that covers
Whoa.
everything.
Yeah, that's
pretty much
about
on it.
it. That
What kind of
makes-
movie is it?
Slash drama.
Yeah,
Slash horror.
it is
Did you
what
guys-
it is. The
Slash-
movie.
guys
slash
hear?
documentary.
Yeah.
In 2018, they were going to remake it.
Were they gonna make it?
with The
Did-
Rock?
Oh, no.
Oh, I heard about.
As Jack
I read the
Well, I
article
mean, he's just
after I
gonna
watched
redo
that. I saw that article. I
everything.
was like, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
How?
They're just gonna put Rock in
It
there.
must not have
How are
come
you
out.
going to do that?
No, I don't think it did.
Must
I
not
mean,
have
maybe
come
it
out.
still will, but obviously, the pandemic has put a lot of things off. But he's busy
I
doing
recommend
Black
they
Adam, but
don't.
it
I
doesn't
hope
mean-
they don't.
Yeah, I'm
Hope they
like,
don't.
I think they shouldn't because
This is going to be
no matter what
blasphemy.
path they go down,
This
it's
is-
not going to be good.
This is blasphemy. I hope they do. I hope they do.
You know,
I just
The
don't
thing
know
is,
how they
use
could
either-
that level
either-
of train wreck.
No, the thing is, it's either
would be
going
a
to
train
be,
wreck.
it's either going to be really raunchy, or it's going to be
No,
like
not with
they're
The Rock,
trying, they're
no.
going to try
Not
to
with The Rock. He's
absolutely
too
not
wholesome.
like
Yeah, he
The Rock
de-raunch
is too
it.
wholesome. He's
I don't
too
see
like
him
one.
doing
Yeah, that's what I was
He does
thinking.
Jungle Cruise. He's not going to.
I'm like they're going to like de-raunch it, and I wonder how they do that.
They'll Disney it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll definitely Disney it up even more.
Yeah.
I'd be
Until
surprised
kids
if
get
he
curious.
goes within a mile.
What did the
of
other
this.
one look like?
Oh no.
I think that if they were to remake it, I think
They're rebooting everything. They're remaking everything.
Yeah,
This is,
but I
why
think
not?
that
It's a
they
cult
would just
classic.
do it
What if?
and just
what
use
if
the
they
name.
what if they remade it? How would you remake it, Larry?
I wouldn't.
I know. I wouldn't either.
I mean,
You
I wouldn't
simply
either.
don't,
Totally
and you
do it.
let
Marco,
it.
you wanna do it. How
let
would you
stay
remake it?
In the 80s.
I mean, you got to do The Rock, right? If you're gonna The Rock in it, put The Rock in it, okay? Because there isn't like another Kurt Russell per se.
Yeah.
You got to go Rock. He's big. He's doing everything now. He's
but think
rebooting.
about-
He's on everything.
Remember who
right?
Kurt Russell was as a character? He was handsome, but kind of funny, a little bit goofy.
Yeah, that's Rock.
I know
The Rock is playing
Rock
a
feels
lot
a
of
little
roles like that.
too
The
big,
Rock
strong
is
guy.
no.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
playing,
yeah. I get what
he's
you're saying.
playing-
I'm like, he's not
he's
enough.
played-
Like, I don't know.
What's that
He
new
needs a
movie
little
he's in?
more jokey.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's in like did you see that movie with Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds that they're in?
Yes. The new one.
whatever.
Red Notice?
Red Notice.
Yeah, something like that. Like same thing. Handsome, funny. He's got some good lines in there.
Yeah, but
he's-
like,
you know what I
Kurt,
mean? It's
Kurt Russell was kind of like, I'm a dork. Like,
right.
not because
He could be a
Rock
dork
is
when he
kinda
needed
like,
to be a dork.
I'm a goof, but I am always confident.
I agree, but
Whereas-
you can't remake it exactly.
I hear
So
you.
that's-
Okay,
Do
so you would
something,
go with
right?
The Rock.
I would go with The Rock. I'm down with it. I'm seeing that. If you don't use a Ryan Reynolds, I would say go with The Rock.
I don't think
Do
Ryan
something.
Reynolds would be the right fit.
No,
personally.
because he's
Yeah.
way the other way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you got to go something like The Rock. It's gonna be so vastly different because there's so much of this
Yeah.
movie you can't
That you
do
can't
now.
I think they would
And
do
that's-
more like a traditional, like a city scape, more like less.
Be like Yakuza.
Yeah,
the only thing you can do-
but like a lot less.
But what you can do
What it
is
was.
put
Yes.
you put somebody like The Rock in essentially a Shang-Chi movie.
Yeah.
Because they got away with that. Like there was a lot of, that was based, and you'd have to have somebody who is Asian to direct it. Because if you don't, and you do all this kind of stuff in there, wow, are you leaning into the stereotype?
Oh, yeah.
That's what
But
it is. I mean,
Shang-Chi-
you say if you do a remake or a reboot, you can't. It's there,
Yeah.
there's
You cannot.
It's
You,
impossible.
I think you would
Yeah,
have
remember,
to. It's
I'd have
not
to
so much of a
disagree.
reboot.
I don't think you can. I don't think
yeah.
you
But
would.
remember,
Because if you did, you couldn't do this. You
No,
have
no,
to do
no, no.
something else. Then there's
Everything
not really a
about
reboot,
it,
right?
all the charm and all the bad stuff. It just, I don't know, everything about this movie, it would be, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it would be very, 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 very difficult to recreate,
but we're
especially
forgetting,
now.
and we keep forgetting what a reboot really is. A reboot is to introduce this IP to a brand new
audience, right?
So it'll have to be the name and only. It's not going to match
Right.
the original.
Yeah.
You got to introduce it to a young crowd, a younger crowd. We were young when we watched this.
Yep.
So the reboot
should
is
have been
not for us. And we don't mind.
Oh,
I think what a lot of people get really pissy about reboots is like, and you've heard me say this before. One more person says it destroyed my childhood. Like you need therapy, okay? Because it didn't destroy anything. Your childhood is still there. It didn't erase your childhood.
Happened.
And you know what? You can go back and watch the original if you don't like this one.
Right.
Go back. The original didn't get erased from history. The original's
not-
still there. You go,
I'm
this
not
one sucked.
disagreeing
I don't like
with
that.
you,
Let's
but I
go watch
do-
my
Anywhere.
original.
I do feel like anytime you
But same with
reboot-
that Karate Kid, right? It wasn't for me.
No, you're right. But when you
some kids
reboot
liked it.
something,
Yeah, I
you're
liked it
rewriting
when I
that
was a
story a
kid.
little bit. You're changing. You're
That's
changing
okay.
it. I understand.
Because it's for the
but-
new audience.
But remember, that doesn't mean that I, as a person who invested in that originally, whatever that story or whatever the movie was, I'm hoping to send like Star Wars. Let's pretend that they literally said we're going to remake A New Hope.
Yeah,
Not
and they
not
did.
not a reboot. We're going to redo A New Hope. We're going to cast new characters. We're same script. Okay, go. I wouldn't want that because I want my son to learn and experience these characters the way I did because I really loved them, right?
But so
because
show him the originals.
Han Solo, I hear you, but I'm saying they're most likely not going to get exposed to the old stuff. They're just going to see the new one, then they're going to say, I saw it. I saw the movie. So like,
But they'll love it.
Changing.
But they'll love it.
It'll be different.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll be different, right?
That's
Han
okay.
Solo won't be Han Solo
No,
because
it won't be your Han Solo.
He won't be Han Solo.
No, he won't be your Han Solo.
No, Han Solo was written as Han Solo, and he was
For you.
portrayed by what's his name, Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford,
Who can't do it anymore.
Right, but his portrayal of Han Solo is it. That's it. He made it. He became that.
No.
Yeah.
No. Because
Yes.
what if,
Yes.
going with the what if the 78 version never happened and they made it tomorrow? Harrison
And
Ford wouldn't do it.
Whoever created it becomes Han Solo.
And that's who's going to do it next.
Yeah, but if I'm talking
For
about
a
what
new
if you
generation,
did a
it'll be
reboot.
their Han Solo. It's the same reason they've done Spider-Man 3 times. It's the same reason we have 17 different Batman.
Yeah, but
some
that-
sucked.
I see all of the-
some were great.
all of the
as much as I
Batmans-
hate the Nolan stuff.
Why do you gesture to me every time?
I love it. 'Cause that was a torture.
Always.
As much as I hate the Nolan stuff, that's somebody's Batman.
I get
It's
it.
not my Batman.
I get it.
But
But we're
somebody
here.
loves that Batman because that's the one they were introduced
But
to.
I would argue
and
that
it
all
made
those,
tons of money
all those
and it
Batmans
worked.
And all those Spider-Mans, they dilute everything, and so it becomes a nothing.
Sure, but it's another
It's a big-
version. They have
it's
to
a
make the
big
money.
nothing. It's
Yeah,
a
but
big nothing
but
burger.
they have to make the money. I'm not going to stop them from making the money.
Forget the money. We
no, because the
understand
whole
the
thing's
money.
built on money.
The money
the
is
entertainment
always
industry.
there.
Anytime you have
Yes.
a movie, a
It's
TV show,
it's
a book,
constant.
a piece of artwork, it's money.
Yeah, it's a constant. So take it out of the equation. Let's talk about the creativity part of it. So
I don't think they're worried about that so much. I think you're more worried about the creativity part than they are.
of course I am, because I'm not worried about the money, because it's not
It's
coming
not
to me.
your money. That's right. You just give up your money
giving
to
them
that.
money.
I kind of see what Bruno's getting
No, I
at.
get what
there.
you're saying,
Yeah.
but it's just it's like at some point you kind of be like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. They're going to make another one.
Of course
and it's
they
not
are.
going to be for me.
But it
it's
doesn't
going to be
mean-
for somebody else, and I'll
Yeah,
go watch
but-
my original, and I'll expose my kid to the original. Let them make up their mind whether they like the new one or the original. It's up to them.
Yeah, you're
they're gonna
essentially
outlive me
essentially
and
saying
carry it on.
You're essentially saying, look, just get over it.
Of all
and
the
I
movies
get that.
they make this
Yeah.
I get that. But at the end
so
of the
much of the
day,
internet
so many other
won't.
movies.
They
end of
don't
the
know how to get
day-
over it, and they lose their mind. and they're
Because-
sitting in their mother's basement, standing on the chair, typing in all caps. This shit
because
ruined my
you
childhood.
don't always know what some character means to somebody.
Yes, but
Right?
they didn't erase the character.
When you rewrite the character, you've rewritten that character for new generations. So
Yep.
you've changed it from what it was before. So
No,
you're
I've written a new
changing.
version of the character.
That's right, and that new version perpetuates
Not for
longer
you,
than
though.
the original.
Not for you, though. I didn't
not
write it
talking
for-
about me. I'm
No,
talking
not talking
about-
about Bruno. I'm not talking about Bruno. I'm talking about the person you're talking about. The person who identified with that original Han Solo.
So if
So
I
go watch the original Han Solo
let's
that still
pretend-
exists.
Sure. So I love a character. Let's call character X. This character does something that really inspires me, and it inspires me to either be a better person or change my life in some way.
Yep.
I feel strongly I'm connected to this character, and that happens a lot with books, with movies. Okay. So now you come along and you do a remake. You don't have bad intentions. You're trying to make money, and you're like, to your point, you're introducing new characters to the world, to younger generations. Fine. What happens now is, let's say you change that character, you rewrite it, you change what he does, some of his motivations, some of his personality traits. All of a sudden, I'm hoping to introduce Larry and Mila to this character because I thought they were so motivational, so great. And they're not seeing that same character. They're getting either a diluted version or some other version, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But I'm disappointed because I was hoping
And you can be
that
disappointed
they
with your
would
feeling.
see. So, I mean, I have the right to be disappointed
Of
if
course.
you're not representing it the way I remember it.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying. So if you're saying just get over it, it feels like, I mean, I can get over it, yeah, because it's not the end of the world. It's just a movie.
Yeah.
But it's something I felt strongly about for whatever reason.
Sure, but
And
the
so-
original still exists. That's what always bugged me. The original, when they when Kevin Smith did the new He-Man Revelation or Master of the Universe Revelation, they didn't call it He-Man. It's Master Universe Revelation. The internet lost their mind when they started watching it because it destroyed my childhood. It's all about Teela, and meanwhile they hadn't seen the entire series. They only saw the first half, and the second half became more about He-Man, right? And people were losing their mind. The original 300 episodes still exist. You don't like this new one? Go watch the originals. You can go watch them all day long. Your He-Man still exists. This is a new He-Man for another generation. And at the same time, they did a more CG version, which is He-Man in name only, because so much of the actual story has changed, and that's definitely aimed at kids. It's to sell toys. It's aimed at kids 100%, like Teen Titans Go. It's aimed at kids. It's not my Teen Titans. I'll tell you right now, that Teen Titans Go is not my Teen Titans, but people love it. It's a huge hit because it's aimed at who it's aimed at.
I think if we just accept that that's going to happen, you're okay.
Yeah.
But I take issue with it because I don't like that you're rewriting my guy. You're rewriting my girl. You're changing that story. Don't. It's canon. It's been created. It's done. Let's say they took they created another 3 Star Wars movies, and they completely changed the characters of whatever. Like
if it's in the same,
I would say, look,
I think you're right. If it's in the same story, right? If they're not like rebooting it, if let's say you're changing the original Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And where Lucas went back and changed shit, that pissed me off. Because you're changing the original one I watched. The actual movie, you're adding musical scenes in, and you're throwing in all this different shit. You're making Greedo shoot first.
Forget that. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Now you're changing the actual character. Han Solo shot first.
How is that different?
He's the
than a reboot where then
because
you
a
make
reboot is a
Han Solo shoot
reboot.
first.
A reboot is a reboot. I'm not.
I'm
you're
talking
not
about
attached.
a remake. Let's
Yeah,
call it a remake.
a remake is a reboot.
Well, you before you were saying a reboot isn't always the same story.
Right, a reboot or remake is not the same story. It's a new whole thing. It's the same characters.
No, I'm saying let's do a remake. Same script, new characters,
characters.
different portrayal, though. Right.
Yeah.
If I were to play Han Solo, I would do it differently than Harrison Ford.
Exactly, you have to.
Because
right?
I'm not Harrison Ford. I don't have his delivery. I don't have his.
It would be different if
Yeah.
it's a shot for shot. If it's a remake, but even with the same script. But do they ever do that? They don't ever remake anything with the same script. They reboot it with the same concept story.
Yeah.
But change everything about it.
I think I think the both of you are arguing the same point. It's nobody likes a reboot, right? Because we always want to hold on to what we first watched on screen, right?
Yeah, because you've written it,
right?
It's there.
And I get that, right? I absolutely get that. I don't like doing reboots. We've talked about this. I don't like doing reboots just for the sake of doing a reboot, just because you want to fill some sort of
just one of those
little genre political to make a certain group happy, right? That pisses me off beyond all end. Like, hey, let's remake this whole movie, same kind of character, same kind of storyline, but we're gonna change it from this to that just to appease the masses. Well, then get a grip, like figure something else out. That's on that side of the reboot. But on the other side of the reboot of like how you were saying it, you need to try to capitalize on what the market is, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And we've talked about this. It's, and again, the Nolanverse. That's Mila's Batman, and that's fine. Like we
apparently it is now, Mila.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, I did start with the Nolanverse,
right? But that's what we're getting
that's
into.
what you do
It's
all the time,
you have a franchise like a Batman that that you can rewrite that thing 1,000 times.
Because it has been.
It has been, right? And it's going to constantly get the
second time it was rewritten, it was a big deal, right? The first time it was what it was.
What do you mean?
The second movie they remade, the Batman, the original Batman came out in 80s.
89.
89. So then when they made, was
But
it
that was
late? No.
Yeah, no, it was 89. It was 89.
Yeah,
It was in
88, 89?
No, it was 89, trust me.
89.
Trust me. Everything now is Batman 89, by the way. The comic book series is Batman 89.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's 89.
So, I mean, that was...
And then in 91, the animated series came out. Ooh. And then right after that, Batman Returns came out. But yeah, to go to your point, Batman, that wasn't the original, right? 66 Batman with Adam West was the original, and then 89 came out, and everybody lost their mind, but in a good way, because they're like, this is not the campy, this is real Batman, this is gritty, dark.
I don't know, I think
Because the 60s Batman was super campy.
On purpose, right? It was on purpose. It was all done that way on purpose. But then you had the 89 feel, right? We did 2 movies with Tim Burton, kind of gritty, kind of dark, doesn't hold up as well. But then, of course, you went to Schumacher, which really, and that's why Keaton left, because Schumacher told him the idea of how it was going to go. He's like, fuck this, it's not going to be dark.
Yeah,
then I'm out. And he's out. And then the fourth one killed the franchise. Not only did it kill the franchise, it killed superhero movies for a long time until Blade came aboard and the X-Men series and then Spider-Man. And then you started going, well, with what we have now.
I think,
and then they redid Batman again. Very different than 66, very different than 89, different than Schumacher.
Then they stumbled into 97 with Batman and Robin.
I think talking about like comic book heroes, it's different. It's way different.
Why?
Because they were comics first. There's a million different comics. They came out with a million different Batmans. Then they started making the movies.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like that's a different thing. Like you can't.
But if you have a movie, let's say Big Trouble in Little China, you reboot it, remake it. You're never going to remake exactly the same. First of all, you can't.
Right,
you can't remake a shot for shot or even definitely can't use the same script.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to reboot it or remake it, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be different, and it has to play within the environment it is in 2022.
Sure.
What is it? What's the how we're woke, we're sensitive, we don't. You know what I mean? So it's going to be completely different anyway.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. It has to play to people who are going to watch it today.
So basically, the roundabout way to answer your question is, how do you remake this? You take the name and the name only.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
create,
Right?
Take
And then you
the
make
premise
some
idea,
other
and you
completely
filter it
different
through
movie.
a 2022 perspective.
right, and that's
all you can
that's
do.
how you play
Although
it out.
all
my
you can
take
do.
on
Which is a totally different movie.
my
entirely.
take on rebooting this is why this movie? Why?
that was-
That's a good
of
question,
all
but
the
it's a cult
movies,
classic.
Why
It's a
the-
good,
yeah,
you
it's
know
a
what I mean?
cult
It's not a
classic.
great movie.
But like,
I feel like they're doing that, right? They're
You got
taking-
so
they
many
want to do the
options.
Princess Bride. Like,
Yes.
that movie was made. It's a really well-made movie. Leave it. Like this
Like,
movie
why?
is fun, but it has its
And
place.
Like,
when
sure,
they,
sure, there's
when
movies
they
like-
remake The Princess Bride, I will be on my chair, all caps, screaming at my computer. But that's just the way it's
see,
gonna
the thing
go.
is, it's
but
like
it's not
different.
for me.
It's different remaking
I mean,
things
it is
like
for you.
Lion
You're gonna
King
watch it.
and
I'll watch it,
Aladdin.
but I'm not gonna be the one
it's
who's gonna watch it
different.
forever.
It's different remaking like Lion King and Aladdin and stuff like that because it's meant for kids and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like,
No, I
like
understand.
that's for the kids. This it would be for like the like
for
So
adults.
take
The
this
adults.
analogy, and this is a little off.
And
but
they
take
don't
take this analogy.
tend to-
We all know who Gordon Ramsay is, right?
Yes.
yes.
So he always said, you know, when he looks at restaurants, he goes into restaurants and they're playing to, well, this is our people that come here. This is the crowd that we get. He's like, so the blue hairs are the ones you get. Your business is on its ass. It's going to be shut down any minute because you don't have enough customers coming in. So why are you still playing to them? You need to play to the people who are going to patronize your business
Yeah.
for the next 30 or 40 years. Redoing The Princess Bride, we're not the ones who are going to be
It's-
with
it's
that
not for us.
series because everything wants to be a series and a whole, you know, and it's now like, you know, the Marvel thing is now a universe. It's
Yep,
a,
yep, yep.
it's a
Yeah,
thing.
it's a thing.
They want to make that going on. That's not us. We're not going to be around long enough for them to give a shit. We're on the outs. We're on the
And
higher
that's-
end of their
Right. And
right
you know what?
of their
And
demographic.
I
We're not
think,
you,
though,
but
Yeah.
we are on the higher because we were during the 80s. We saw
Yeah.
Princess Bride when it came out.
and I think that's
we're
part
on the
of it.
higher end of their demographic.
I think that's part of it.
Check
With
that
all
box,
these-
baby. We're not in
Yeah,
the we're not in the
we're not
25 to
there.
34 box. Fuck me.
So-
we're not there, right? We're not even in the 35 to
No.
44 box.
But that's the thing, though, right? It's like all these reboots and remakes and all this. It is not for us. We can get mad at it all we want.
Yeah, it's for the new audience.
It's not for us.
It's
They
for the
want to
younger
introduce
audience
the
who's starting to
story.
get money and they're gonna put their weight behind it. And
Yeah.
they're the ones who are gonna. Honestly, how many times you might more me, you a little bit more, but how much are you going on the internet, social media? I love this movie, going crazy, TikToking about these movies. A little bit, me too. Right, especially because I have the podcast,
Right.
but we're not the average.
We're
Guys
not,
our
yeah.
age aren't sitting on TikTok.
I know plenty of guys our age who are into comics,
them off TikTok
comic
if
book,
they're on it.
comic book movies, not TikTok, but like comic book movies,
Yeah.
all the Marvel stuff, all the new stuff. I mean,
Right, Marvel's absolutely, but that's all
I
brand
talk-
new. They're not rebooting any of that
No,
yet.
but I talk with my neighbors all the time about like what shows they're watching on Netflix. And,
Yeah,
and
I
things
tend
like
to
that.
go
So
word of mouth. I
happens.
almost never post on
Which
my like
surprises
social
me.
media.
You don't.
Yeah,
You don't, which
I
surprises
don't.
me.
I don't. I
Social
don't even
media
have a
is definitely
TikTok
meant for people
anymore,
your
or
age,
like
not mine.
Snapchat or anything. I was like,
Like Facebook is more our age.
yeah.
I
Still.
think
I had
we're-
a, I had
we're
a
actually
Facebook in
aging
like
out.
We're almost aging out
2013,
of Facebook,
2012.
but
We used it
we're-
religiously for like 3
Instagram
years.
is not our age. TikTok is definitely not our age.
Man,
Do you know what I mean?
don't,
Like,
I don't
that's
know
a
if
lot
we're allowed
younger.
to do social media anymore. I
I
don't
know,
even
there
know.
might be more. There might be a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
should
really
just
sure.
like I don't know,
Gonna
quit, read a
pass a
book or
law.
something.
But I
Yeah,
get what you're saying.
I mean, what I don't like though is when we talk about like ages and stuff like that is you know things getting remade, rebooted, continued on. Is I feel that everybody's doing it now. We're seeing it with the Cobra Kai and everybody, and it's kind of
So
pulling
good.
right, and it's pulling on our heartstrings, our nostalgic heartstrings. We're like,
And they're
oh my
doing
god,
well.
I can't wait to watch this, and then with the hopes that we bring on the younger generation to come along, but. How far can they actually take that to where it gets just a little bit, I don't know, too much? Like,
Oh, well, I mean, just take Cobra Kai in itself. It's at some point you have taken all the meat off the bone. The entire series is predicated on the first 3 movies. Maybe the 4th one if they decide to bring Hilary Swank into it, but that's it. Once you've pilfered all the nostalgia out of those movies, the show is done.
it's a wrap, right?
The
Yeah,
show is
not
done.
enough.
It's just another, young kids
You've
in high
milked
school or
everything you
college
can.
Yeah.
having stupid fights for no reason.
Right, I mean,
this
them-
last season, which I loved the ending of,
okay, I'm-
it was just like constant. We're gonna switch to this one. I don't like you. I'm going over Team Miyagi-Do. I don't like you. I'm going to Team
Oh, we're
Cobra
talking-
Kai. I don't like
oh, we're
Cobra Kai.
talking about Cobra
I'm gonna
Kai.
go with that. Fuck. It was, I don't like
So-
you. I'm gonna go
so-
date them. I don't like you. I'm gonna go hook up with them. I don't like you. I'm gonna hang out with that person's mother. Like Jesus. Nobody was
I
staying with
haven't-
anybody for a long
I
time. Half a second.
I saw season 1, and then me and my wife, we just threw it on last night because she hasn't seen it, so she wants to catch up. And you know, obviously, it's like the first season was great because it's all nostalgic. It's like, oh my god, I love the fact that they're playing all the old '80s music.
But
you know,
they still keep it going for the next three seasons.
So,
dear Lord, they keep hitting it.
What killed me is, so I didn't see the seasons after
those
that.
who missed-
That's because they're hitting the IP reign. That's us.
The original, they're hitting the original stuff.
So they're cashing
even
in
though
on
there's
that IP.
new stuff in it, which is bullshit. I could care less about the young kids and their beefs.
Yeah, but
I only care about the nostalgia
But you were
stuff.
saying, it sounded like you were frustrated. They kept going back to that well, but they're doing it
No,
for the money.
no.
Definitely
I'm not frustrated. I'm saying there's only eventually that well will be dry.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought
And I worry about that 'cause I like the show,
I
but
thought
eventually
bringing
it
the
has to,
guy
you know.
back from part 3 there.
Oh, Terry Silva, Thomas.
For those who
Ian,
missed the
whatever it is,
transition, we're talking about Cobra Kai.
yeah, I know.
okay.
It's crazy. We'll
Because
bring
I was
it
like,
back.
I don't
You know
even
this haven't you
think
been on this
that
podcast?
I'm like, I don't
38
even think that
episodes,
you
whatever
guys
it's been?
said Cobra Kai in passing.
No,
40
don't bring
episodes
it back.
later, you know this.
What I mean, I didn't see the other seasons, but the moment that I
Let
saw
me
that they
tell
were
you what
bringing
happened.
him, hold on, the moment that they brought him in, I went, holy shit, they're reaching. Because me personally, I could give 2 shits about part 3.
Oh.
Part
I don't
3
like
was
part
him,
3 as a movie.
Part 3 was
but
him
bringing
crying about
him
that
in,
stupid tree on the side of the fucking cliff and whatever.
By bringing him in, they hit some magic
Whatever.
right there. They hit. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, are you gonna watch it?
Probably.
No, I'm going to.
If by bringing him in and what he does at the end of season 4 to go into season 5 was freaking magic.
Does it kiss a baby?
He doesn't kiss a baby.
Does he shake the baby?
He
shake
shakes
the
the
baby?
shit out of the baby.
See?
Oh.
But this is the thing, though, right? When you do your remakes and your reboots and stuff like that, it's you do the original reboot / remake to get us to watch because we remember watching the original,
Yeah.
right? They do it for us to start off in hopes that we bring somebody else along, and then
That's right.
and that's what they do, right?
But that was done well because you have the nostalgia plus all the new bullshit that I could care less about, all the teens and the.
But you know what? All
but that brings in the younger audience.
I was gonna say, right? The bullshit is
seeing Allie in, seeing Chosen in, seeing Crease in, seeing Terry Sylvan.
Yeah,
the
'cause they
younger
don't make-
kids could give a
I
shit
mean, you
less.
gotta
but they
have
have
the
no
teen
connection
drama.
with that. They have the teen drama to bring the younger audience in, so hopefully they
And
get
I
attached
know
to it,
many
and then they
people
keep
who
drawing out to
love
the rest
teen
of the seasons.
drama.
So eventually,
And I'm like, well, they got the show
so
for you.
what they can do if they do it right is they filter through all the old nostalgia shit because eventually they're going to tap out. But you keep that teen drama stuff going, it keeps going beyond the nostalgia. You and I might stop watching because I don't give a shit about this teen drama stuff, but the younger audience will keep it going because they like all that shit and they could have cared less about the nostalgia stuff. But that's going to keep it going because you can do that forever. You can do the teen drama shit forever. The nostalgia stuff's going to dry up. It's only 3 movies worth of stuff to pilfer from.
yeah.
They
Teen
said
drama's on
maybe
the
4th
big
if they ever get Hell You
rise
Swank
right
on it.
now.
On the
Teen
rise.
drama's on the rise.
Oh yeah.
Well, like
Everyone's
every
trying to-
Arrowverse show, every CW show,
Yeah.
like it's all about the teen
all of it,
crap
all
drama.
of it.
We care less
I'm like,
about it,
oh,
but
look,
that
it's
this
teen
show
drama.
has an even mix of both,
Right.
and eventually one will start winning out over the other
Yeah.
because one's gonna die out.
Yeah.
Right.
You
So,
can
I
only
If
milk
we start aging
nostalgia
out,
so
it'd be
much.
bothering to watch. You know?
But
So
but
who
he-
plays Lopan in the remake?
Who plays Lopan?
The same guy.
It could be the same guy.
Same
He's
guy.
still around.
Why
literally
does he
still
just bring
here.
him
Yeah.
back?
The only difference
He's
is
doing it
no
again.
makeup for the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's it.
For
That's
the person in the
it. You're
wheelchair,
done.
it's just him.
it's just him
Put
hanging
on,
out.
put on a suit or
Congratulations.
robe and he's good to go.
All right, so
He's
you got,
still
you got,
alive,
You
so-
might have to
Lopan.
prop him up for the 7-foot tall guy though.
Jack Burton would be The
The
Rock.
Rock.
yeah,
That
you
was
could-
the.
Who plays Kim Cattrall's character? Gracie Law.
Oh, that's a good question.
you got a few
If
different
you don't do
options.
like a Gal Gadot or
Who
who's
sucks
hot
as
right
an
now?
actor?
Oh, good lord! Well,
She needs to be a little bit more helpless. At least that was the original character,
you need,
right?
you need someone to
Gal
go like,
Gadot's too strong.
No, so
no,
yeah,
Oh.
wait.
You
You
know
could
the
not-
reboot. She's going to be
strong.
the hero.
So I was just
Yeah.
gonna say
All right,
that.
so we'll
Yeah.
rewrite the
Oh
oh
first
my god,
section.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is gonna
He's
be
gonna be the
they're gonna have to
bumbling
be a
idiot
hero now.
who just ruins everything, and
Or
she's gonna
It's
have
gonna
to
get
save
way
the
too
day
under
and
fire
kill
if
Lopan.
she's
No.
the-
Or
I don't
Lopan's trying to
think-
marry The Rock.
Maybe
That's
that's
woke.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I don't think that's so much. You make him the bumbling idiot, but now it's an equal power.
Did you see the not the Ghostbusters Afterlife, the prior one before it?
No.
When you had 4
I
women.
know. I
I'm
saw
all
the
good with
beginning of it.
that.
They made him
I have
the
no
idiot.
problem. And you had Chris Hemsworth as the
They made
idiot.
him the idiot just because.
Yeah.
Just 'cause it was the
that
token
was
blonde
kinda,
idiot.
It's like you don't have to just flip the roles and there you go. You've made a movie. You've
but that's
But they
ruined
never
it.
had
It's like-
a woman idiot in the first ones.
Right.
Even Janine was kind of
No,
like,
she
especially
was-
in the
she was-
first
she-
one.
yeah, no, she was a
She had her
smart
shit
ass.
together.
Yeah,
she had her
yeah.
shit together. She
If
knew what they were
anything-
doing. She's like, these 4 idiots. I gotta
Yeah,
work
if
with these
anything,
morons.
like she was
You know what I mean?
the voice of reason, if you
Yeah,
will.
she
out
held
of,
them
out of all
together.
of them
She
in
held
the
them
first one.
together.
So, No, but
And she did the
that's
same thing in Afterlife.
Yeah, but that's
Did you see
the
that one,
thing
by the
though.
way?
I haven't seen it yet.
That was good.
so
That was good.
It was good.
We
we all
saw it together.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
it's
good.
one and only movie I'll see with Mila.
But
First and last.
That's the thing about reboots and remakes now, right? Is now you have to be super sensitive, right? And it's not. I don't want to make it sound like that I'm against the sensitivity awareness, but it's like.
Sometimes it gets a bit overboard.
Right, thank you, Mila. And it's like, we don't want to flip the roles just to flip the roles, just for flipping sake, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to flip the roles of make him the, he's in distress and make her the superhero. Not that I'm against it, but do we really need to do it like that?
Because it's just kind of,
because?
that's like
still
lazy.
think-
You know,
It's
I don't think
really
it's
just
necessarily a bad thing because
No,
what
I don't think it's a bad
you're showing young women that they can be strong, right? And
Yeah.
that they don't
Right.
have to
Look,
be,
but there's better ways.
I think
don't
you're
know.
right. I think it's a
Like-
good thing to do. I think it's a great thing to do, actually. Make
Yeah.
them strong. Don't flip the roles so the guy is now the idiot,
Yeah.
but he's not the guy in
'Cause that's
charge
still not-
either.
he doesn't have
They
to be an
are.
idiot.
Yeah,
but
because it's still
if you
that's
can
still not
make
going to
it-
be a great.
If you can make it so that
image.
she's helping him more,
Yeah, I have
then
no
think-
struggle with that.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm
No,
saying.
that
They
is
have an
perfect.
equal balance
Make
of
it more of
power.
a
perfect.
level playing field almost.
And I don't mind if she has more than him. I'm okay with that. I think that's
Yeah.
good. I think it's good to show.
just like-
it's good to show people. It's good to show young girls.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know
But
what
that
I'm
doesn't
saying?
mean you
They're
need to
resonating
have the
with
girl
these
knows
young
and
girls
does
who are
everything
empowering them.
great, and
Yeah.
then the guy's the absolute idiot who can't do anything
That's
right.
unnecessary.
You don't need
Right.
that.
Right.
No little girl needs to see that, right? Because then then it'll just kind of flip the switch. Like
Yeah.
then you could just bully the kids, like the boys on the field or something.
Yeah.
Like that's not gonna make anything better. It's gonna
you should just
give them
have
a
two
light where it's like,
characters who
oh,
are
I can
normal
be
people.
It has to be
rude.
two strong people, and one person is the hero.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's great
Yeah.
if it's her, so then young girls can see that, I got a level playing field with really
Make it a
strong
flat
people
team
around me,
structure.
and I can still be
Yeah.
the hero. I can
Right.
still be the one that saves the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Even with stronger people in front of me, not just because everybody around me is an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You
yep,
know
yep.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's lazy
No problem.
writing.
That's lazy writing.
Yep.
That's lazy writing. I think so, too.
So, I mean,
So, yeah, I think they can remake.
we could remake this, and I think I would watch that again. The name itself is going to bring me back, right, to the movie. Like you put that,
Yeah.
if that comes on my screen,
You're like,
coming
no,
to a
they
theater near
remade
you,
it,
there's
and then
some
you go see
Big
it in
Trouble in Little
theaters.
China. I don't even care who's in it.
I'm in. I'm watching it.
I don't care who is in it. I see that name and I'm like, yeah, I'm there. What's it about?
right, I'm
I
with
can tell
it.
you what
What
it's
is it?
about because that's what I remember. But whatever, I'm there just because I see Big Trouble in Little China. Boom,
They
I'm
had
there.
the balls to remake it.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta go see this.
God, to be the person going, I'm gonna remake it and put it in theaters. To
And
be
let's
that
face
guy.
it, the person with the bigger balls is the one who tries to make Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's-
God,
Like,
yeah.
the person who tries that,
Because that movie is
Yeah.
beloved.
it's
not.
either knocks it out of the park or it ends that person's career.
Yep.
I don't
wouldn't
know
wanna
how
take
you
that
could
risk.
knock
Like,
it out of the park.
how-
That's
how-
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
how do you-
Would you want to be the guy
No.
who,
No
or
way.
girl, whoever it is? I don't
I-
care.
No.
Should remake that
I
movie.
can't envision a better story written
Yeah.
that way. It's so well done. It's really well chosen as far as characters go. Like it's exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly
I
right.
mean-
Yeah. That would
Next
just
one,
be
one
remaking
reason.
it for
Don't-
remaking its sake, and it would not be good.
Yeah.
You'd be making the movie like worse.
Yeah.
Right?
would be.
Not because it's like
And
a
I think-
reboot
and
or
that's
a
one of those
remake,
movies,
but
like-
because it's perfect, and if you do it again, it's not
can't
going to be
improve
as
on
good.
perfection.
I feel
It's
like
going
that's
to
one
suck.
of those movies you hold on to in
Don't
the
bother.
bank.
Yeah.
You hold on to that movie in the bank until everybody who watched it during the 80s is dead.
I was about to say, unless everyone
nobody
dies,
knows what it is.
Nobody gives a shit about
Then
it
you
anymore.
can remake
Alright.
the
Nobody
movie.
lived with it, owned it, loved it,
But
and
wait,
growing up with it.
what if you're? So Casablanca's not that old, but what if you were to try to remake
I could give a
Casablanca?
fuck.
You could remake Casablanca. I don't
I
think
could
anyone
I
care
cares.
honestly think that Casablanca has been remade.
Yeah, I'm shocked
Like
it hasn't
that
like if it hasn't.
storyline.
Yeah, if it hasn't been
That one
remade
you
in
can
name,
remake.
I'm
You can't
shocked
remake
by
Gone with
now.
the Wind.
But all right, let's take that was Casablanca. Might have been a bad suggestion.
No, it's not.
Gone with
It's
the
not
Wind.
a bad suggestion
No.
at
Would
all.
Would you be like? I'd be like, no, don't mess with those movies. They're good the way.
I mean, those are
they're the way
theatrical
they are
cues.
because
You
they're
kiss.
supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Don't touch them.
No.
That's my take.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
with you.
yeah.
I'm with you
Like,
on the
and-
fact that
yeah.
and you, same thing. They need to come up with new shit. It is lazy
Yeah.
to keep
Right.
rehashing the same.
I mean, you
understand
could do
why
like
they do
what's
it.
it called, Romeo and
It's all about
Juliet
the
over and over and over and over and over
almighty
again. which has been done over and over and over again.
Yeah, but did you see the Leonardo DiCaprio one?
I did see the
That was
Leonardo
pretty
DiCaprio.
badass.
Romeo and Juliet.
That was great.
That was
The
actually
Romeo and
pretty
Juliet's
good.
an old story and it's been remade
Yeah.
so many times.
'Cause
It's
everyone's
almost
dead.
like everybody does it, right? You can do it.
You have to. It's like if it's not in your
The
repertoire,
people
of what
from the
you've done,
1600s
you're useless.
going, how could you remake it? It's
just haven't made it
perfect.
yet.
Yeah, you just haven't gone around to it yet. If you're if you think of yourself as a serious director or whatever, and you haven't remade it,
What are you even doing?
You're
Come on.
lazy.
What are you
You're a
even
punk.
doing?
You're just a poser. Get on it.
There was even this random
We need
animated
17, 18
movie
more of those.
called Romeo and Juliet. I watched when I was a kid. I was like, what?
Yeah, they got
And I was like, oh yeah, they're now
red- the
gnomes.
red gnomes and the blue
yeah.
They're redoing other
Oh my
things
God, I
like
love
Wraths
it.
of Nim and stuff like that. Like they're redoing those too.
I don't
When
see
does
why.
I guess the whole thing with me too is like, when does it end? Like, why? I feel like every other year we keep hearing about guess what they're gonna remake, or guess what they're gonna reboot, and it's like I
It
understand.
doesn't end. There's so
It'll
much
never
IP.
end. end.
There's so
I
much
no
properties
longer
out
care
there.
what they're remaking.
They're going to
I simply
remake.
lost
They're gonna
interest.
remake remakes.
Yeah, of course they are.
Oh
They're
my
gonna
God, yeah.
Redo another. Once this Karate Kid Cobra Kai ends, eventually they'll wait a couple of years and they'll start again, just like Batman.
Yep.
Right? They're scrapping. This Ben Affleck says this is his last time. This Flash movie is his last time
could
in the suit.
remake
He's
Batman
done.
every time-
but now
every-
they just announced that
every
they're
year.
going to do a Batman Beyond movie. They haven't cast yet,
Oh.
but everybody's hoping for Michael Keaton as old Batman.
That would make sense. I would
Which
like
is
that.
very plausible because they've said the Flash movie might not be his last time in the suit or last time playing Batman. He's kind of committed to doing more. He wants to do more. So he could be the old Batman in the Batman Beyond.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd like that.
Unpopular opinion, I liked Christian Bale's Batman.
You suck. You need to get out.
I thought, hey, since I grew up on it, I thought it was pretty good
Sure,
too.
you love that crap Tumblr. That was honestly one of the worst series ever.
Well, wait
That's-
a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Because we have a new one coming out, and I'm going to hold my tongue on this one because I already
Well, that
can't
looks like to
stand
suck,
him.
too.
Because I already can't stand him because he made vampires glittery.
Well, he
No,
did.
the director did.
You can't
He's
slam
just the
him for
face
that.
of glittery
Author, the
He
vampires.
was a
That's
young
not his
guy
fault.
that got cast in
I will
that role.
absolutely slay him for that because that's what people think vampires are.
Yeah, but
He
I mean,
didn't do that.
I blame
didn't
the
write that.
author.
I know,
I blame
I
the
know.
director.
Yeah, it's the author
I
and
blame.
director.
You can't blame the director. You can only blame the author. She wrote
Yeah.
those.
Oh, did she?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, she
She
did
wrote-
write that they
yes.
glitter, which
Yeah.
is kind
They
of
were the
really
ones
dumb.
that
They
sparkle.
shine in the sun. No,
They-
mother effers.
Well,
they glitter.
I
There
get
are
what you're
so
saying.
many different versions
There's
of
so many different
vampires.
versions of vampire. Just like there's different zombies. There's slow ass zombies. There's fast zombies. And I know you hate
Listen.
zombies. So I don't want to bring up a sore subject.
Listen.
But,
I think
I know
zombies are neat
vampires.
again.
but
That's
you know
the
what? You
first
brought up the Nolan
vampire.
Batman, so I don't give a shit.
best vampire movie.
Interview with the Vampire.
Best vampire movie.
Oh no! Oh my
Actually,
god!
I have a 1 and a 1A. But
All right, we'll come back.
vampire movie. No, I can't think of any vampire
Lost
movie.
Boys. You're right.
Yes.
Next, best,
Oh, I watched
Marco,
Lost.
best
I
vampire
actually watched
movie.
the
Why
Lost
is it
Boys
Lost
in
Boys?
theaters.
It's not Lost Boys.
that's my 1A.
It's not Lost
You want
Boys.
It's not
Reboot,
for
they
me.
want to
It's
reboot
not
that.
whatever it is. It's not Lost
I'd
Boys.
be down for that. I'd be down.
Nosferatu.
But I understand
Next.
why people love that movie.
Yeah, it was super cult classic.
Yeah,
Good
I
guy.
watched. I actually watched that in theaters because
I
back.
literally just saw a side by side then and now of Kiefer Sutherland and what was the pretty boy? What was his name?
Yes.
And there's like what they look like
yeah.
now.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
all the
yeah.
hair.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I
he
can
did
only
not- he
imagine.
did not age well.
I didn't
Yeah.
see. I didn't see that.
I mean,
Yeah, no, totally.
I showed my wife that movie a few months ago because I was like, you've never seen this, you gotta see this movie, right? She fell asleep halfway through. Yeah, because it's
Oh,
not
no.
good. It is not good, but it's
I mean,
such a
yeah.
classic.
I
Such a
can't watch it.
classic.
I can't watch it just for the Chinese food eating scene.
Oh, the
The shit
maggots.
turns out I can't.
so bad.
I
Oh
can't.
my
Like I have a
God.
hard time eating rice.
But
Like
Kiefer Sutherland was amazing.
he was amazing.
I liked.
awesome
developed-
anyway.
I liked
Yeah.
that movie
Yeah.
because I like took.
He
Like,
was legit. He
there were-
was really good.
back when
No, I
like
agree.
COVID was kind of being a thing. You know, well, it still is, but you know. But when the movie theaters were first starting to open up, what they did was they played reruns of like classic movies.
Yeah. that's
I
right.
saw Lost Boys in theaters
A
with
lot
like
of stuff back,
my
yeah.
mom and my
Just to
sisters.
kind of get people back in the theater.
And it was
man.
so awesome. We were the only ones in the theater. and I was like,
I would
oh my
have
god.
seen that in the theater.
It was
That
great.
I loved it.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
There's,
No, I
there's a
agree.
lot of good vampire movies that I liked.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Definitely.
You know, they have Nosferatu, the entire movie, with subtitles
You know,
on
Blade
YouTube.
would have been a good option too.
Oh Oh my God, Blade.
Yeah,
Blade's a good
that
one.
rebooted superhero movies.
Yes, it
They
did.
rebooted them all.
Oh my God,
The
yeah.
Blade series and then
Well, it was
X-Men
also
and
come from a
Spider-Man.
different cloth too. I mean, it was
Very
like that was a
different.
rated R
Very
movie.
different.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's
made
funny.
everybody
There's
go,
so many
"Whoa."
different, like wildly different
But they
vampire
made it
movies. They're all wildly
serious,
different.
right? They quote unquote
Yeah.
Oh,
serious.
anyone
Real
see
World did it?
Underworld? What was it called?
yeah,
Underworld?
but they
Underworld.
Underworld,
Yeah.
yeah.
Underworld
Yeah,
was good.
Underworld.
I
That was
thought
good.
that
thought
was
it
a
was
great
all
little
right.
story.
I mean,
was that
it
Mila
was-
Jovovich?
No, that was Kate Beckinsale.
That was Kate Beckinsale. Yeah.
That's right.
But it was one
Yeah.
of those like it kind of like started to get too long in the tooth by like the 17th one. They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I only watched the
okay.
first one because I was
How
like,
many
this
times
is
when
going
you
down a
kill
path I
Bill
don't.
Nye, whatever that guy is?
Yeah,
like, how many times
I
you gotta
watched.
kill him
I watched.
off,
I think there was
I
three
just
or
watched-
four of them that I watched.
Yeah.
I only watched the first one.
Then they had like the Lycans.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They had the
like-
And it was all
Lycan
they really
storyline. I was
needed.
like, whoa.
Yeah, that was a cool turn. I like
Yeah.
that.
It was a good series. It definitely was a good series. Wow. Well, we just shat all over Big Trouble in Little China and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah. So I mean, at the
definitely
end,
meandered.
at the end of it, Big Trouble in Little China, great movie, great
But wait
cult
a minute.
classic.
The end. We haven't even talked about the whole final fight
Oh,
scene.
you're right, you're right.
When they get
When the guy
when X-Shen
blows
gives them all
up
the
and the-
potions and they can see things no one else can see and do things no one else can do. And he's
Well,
like,
that's a part
I'm
of
feeling kind of
magic.
good. I'm like, yeah, I feel pretty good. I love that. He's like, he taps the rice paper wall. He's like, hollow, fuck it. And he just cuts it open.
Yeah.
And they go in, they're going down the elevator and they're going through like the whole underground, like,
The underground-
sewer
Yeah.
cavern, where the fuck.
And you got the
and
giant snake
that
head
spider
thing.
head thing comes out. He's like, you
Spider,
don't come out no
whatever.
more. He's like, what, huh? What don't come out no more? He's just losing his mind the whole time. Then you see the seeing eye blob.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
He's
yeah.
like,
Oh
what
my
the
God.
hell?
That thing was. I mean, that's
like,
so.
oh,
You want
look.
to talk about jumping the shark?
I was
Yeah, but that's-
just gonna say
But that
that.
scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah,
What, the
it was
eye thing?
terrifying.
It was gross
Yeah.
and the eye, his
It
basically
was
his
like
lookout.
gooey and
Oh,
had
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
just like
I was
dripping
like,
off.
man,
of
what
it.
the
An
hell
eyeball
is
on it
that?
where it licks its own face.
It kind of looked like
shot him.
Yeah,
it
it's
looked like
thing.
Slimer from Ghostbusters, but it was kind of like mutated. You
Yeah.
got an image of that thing?
Yeah, it's right here, and it's disgusting.
Yeah,
It,
so-
it literally
Yeah.
had an eyeball.
Oh, yeah, it had
there you
an eye
go.
in its
For a
mouth,
tongue.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, and
Inside
then it
of the
licked
giant
itself. I
eyeball.
was like,
So here's,
ugh.
I mean, obviously it's
I
mystical.
mean, they
it's
leaned
mystery,
into the
it's-
eyeballs.
They
Yeah.
did. They're everywhere. They're
Quite
absolutely
a few
everywhere.
eyeballs, I'd say.
It's like
One
it's got
too
a giant
many.
eyeball in its mouth, but then when it comes
One,
out on its
just
tongue,
one.
it's a little eyeball on the tip
The
of the
little,
tongue.
yeah,
That
so
licks
it's the
its
all
face.
seeing
Yeah.
everything eye.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
there was like, oh my
It's
gosh.
really
Then there was like the
morphic probe droid, essentially, like seeing everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there was a scene with like Lopan, like the final battle, if you could say it was a battle. Like,
And him and X-Shen are like doing the little Jedi. He's using his pinkies with a really
Yeah,
long
yeah,
nail.
right,
It's like a remote
right.
control, and his
Yeah.
thumbs are going. And he's just got the little crystal, and
then
they're
he's-
fighting. He's like, "You can never beat me, X-Shen."
it's so
That
funny. I was like,
really
wait, he
good.
won that?
Yeah,
I was like, what
nobody won.
happened?
No, nobody won. That was a draw.
Oh,
and then
okay.
Rain
I was
and-
like, what's
Rain
happening?
and what's his name were fighting. They're doing the sword. They're flying through the air together. This
Oh,
Oh
Yeah,
my
it was a
god!
wire work.
They
Yeah,
hit
the
each
wire
other
work.
once and then they fall. They jump, hit each other once, and
But
fall
at one
again.
point, they hit each other a lot in
That's-
midair.
Yep, and then they.
And the
It's
final
like
one, he turns
that
around
one
and
is
puts
so
the sword
long.
behind him, which still would have killed him anyway because his sword was out too.
Yep.
Logistically, it still would have killed him.
Wait a minute, that's where you're saying you lost your belief in what was going on.
That's where I had to stop
That's-
suspending
that was the
disbelief.
point.
That's it. I can't
That's
do
That's where we
this.
draw the line.
I threw out all my suspend disbelief powers right there.
Right
Oh my
there.
God, I
yeah.
love-
Was
Right
fucking
then and there, you're
empty.
like, that's too much. You would have died in that stroke.
I
right
love-
there.
But wait a minute. The whole entire scene, so 80s, fucking neon everywhere.
Oh,
Neon
yeah.
lights
Oh my
surrounding
God.
everything.
Oh my God.
That was so typical. That was so stereotypical. That was horrible 80s.
Although I love when Kurt Russell, like right at the beginning of the fight scene, he shoots the ceiling
And knocks
then
himself
knocks
out.
himself
Oh,
out.
yeah.
He's out for like half the
Then
thing.
he puts the knife through his boot, and the big guard comes and falls on. He's like,
Yeah.
shit. He gets under it.
Yeah.
He does like nothing.
Yeah, he's, like,
Again,
stuck the whole
a second
time.
fight scene, he does
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
The first one, he throws the knife when they're still upstairs.
Don't worry, I'm here.
And then his friend is like knocking everybody out, and he comes back. He's
Yeah.
like, "Ha!" And they're all dead. He's like, "Okay, I got nothing."
All right,
Second
cool.
time, he's useless. But
One
he's,
time
but
he's
he's
useful.
good for
he is
something.
essentially the Indiana Jones of this movie, right?
With
Yeah.
the incompetent Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah,
But don't
he's
forget,
basically
But
incompetent.
don't forget, we all know
He's
Raiders
just
of the Lost
brave.
Ark.
That doesn't mean he's getting
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
anywhere.
That whole movie has Indiana Jones has no effect in that whole entire movie. That everything would have happened without him. The entire movie is
But he
useless.
looked cool while doing nothing
Yeah.
useful.
The entire movie is
Yeah.
useless without Indiana Jones. The Nazis, the Nazis still would have got the thing. They only got half of it. They still would have got the thing. They would have got both halves of it, so they would have ended up with the Ark earlier. They still would have taken it to the island to open it first, and they still would have all died.
Yeah, but
Okay,
that,
I mean, yeah.
Nothing he did affected other than just drew it out a little longer because he had the thing with the rock in it. So what's his name? The guy with the black coat only got one half. So they were digging in the wrong place. If he didn't take it, they would have dug in the right place, taken the Ark to the island as they always had planned to do, to open up before they bring it to Hitler.
Yeah,
they had
but
planned to
didn't-
open the Ark to see what was inside
Yeah,
of
but
it
didn't
anyway.
you have to stick that pole in the thing so sun can come down and
But
then...
they would have had it, and they would have been able to read both sides early, so they would have just found the Ark earlier. They just took it from him, but they would have found it just earlier, and they still would have taken it to the island, opened the Ark, and killed
Yeah,
themselves
but then
anyway.
you wouldn't have a movie.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part of that whole movie is he's completely superfluous other than to draw out
Yeah.
a movie.
yeah.
He has
Although
no
the
effect
thing
on the
is,
actual outcome of the movie.
he does
Right.
everything he does. He's super cool while doing it,
Yeah, he
Yeah.
which is what
draws
makes it
out the
interesting. Of
ultimate
course,
end.
it does. Like
He
he's like,
draws out the
oh my god,
ultimate end
Indiana
for the
Jones.
bad
I
guys to take
still,
themselves out
I think
anyway.
the Indiana Jones franchise is one of my favorite franchises of all
Absolutely one of my
time.
favorite, except for the
but
Kingdom
like,
Skull.
but yeah,
I'm with you.
That was terrible.
that makes sense.
But it's okay. They're doing another one. It's
what I
all
heard.
right. We're getting Indiana Jones 5.
You know what's a sin?
You know what's going to
I
happen
remember
is Indiana
way
Jones
back-
digs himself up and puts himself in the goddamn museum.
Way
he
back-
is the relic he's finding in this one.
Way back when I was little, I'm pretty sure I started to remember this. I think the first Indiana Jones movie I watched,
Was The
I think it
Skull.
was The Skull. But
you liked
luckily,
it.
I didn't remember a lot of it. I thought I was like, no, it was I was young enough where I was like, wasn't there something with like a skull or something, like a crystal skull or something? It looked kind of funny.
And you loved it.
But no, I did. Look,
That's what she does.
The thing is, I didn't remember it all that
We
much.
torture Mila every
When-
time.
Think-
She
I'm
loves
like,
the Tumblr,
look, I
the
grew
worst
up
version of a Batmobile.
I was born
She
in
loved-
2001.
she
I
loved Andrew Garfield's
apologize. I was a
Spider-Man
child.
costume, the worst iteration of the Spider-Man costume.
Oh my
Now she loves
god!
Computer
I
Scream
can't have
Skull.
one opinion.
You can have them, they're just wrong.
No. It's the fact
It's
that
just
I'm
people
like,
that born in the 90s, I guess.
The
They
first
just-
movie I saw was
it was
this
the
one,
worst
and y'all are like,
time.
"Oh my god, how dare you!" I'm like, "I'm so sorry."
Get with it.
You go
You
home
know
and
she's
rethink
a
your
lot
life.
younger, right?
I know. It's just
But the
people in the
thing is-
90s have these really horrible opinions.
But then years later, I like
just-
rewatched.
it's not their fault.
Not even
It's
rewatched.
not
I
their
watched
fault.
the Indiana Jones movies, and I was like, "Oh my god, these are so good!" And I just heard like the Crystal Skull. I only remember like 2 scenes from the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, because it's a pretty forgettable movie.
I
Oh,
know.
that movie sucked.
Hence why I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
bad.
I only have tiny flashes of like the fragments of memory about it.
The original
and
was
then
weird.
I
the
call them nightmare
amazing
flashes, but yeah.
Yeah.
like Indiana Jones movies.
So bad.
See, the
We'll see
first,
what happens
the
in the
first
next one.
couple were
I just
really
remember like I think there was
Yeah.
like
The first
another
3.
pit of snakes or something.
Yeah.
The Last
First
Crusade
Like
was
they
my
did
favorite.
another
First
one.
one had snakes.
Last
the second
Crusade
one
is
was
still my favorite. It's just
Yeah.
yeah,
The second one, there
Temple
was-
of Doom was pretty good.
Oh my god, I
Yeah.
love Temple
for
of
me,
Doom.
it goes 3, 1, 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
3, 2, 1.
Same.
And 4 can
I
go
like,
right in the
I
goddamn
like
trash.
one the most.
I think for me it's 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, for
I
me
gotta
it's 3,
say.
2, 1.
I can't stand. To me, Temple of Doom was, and I know this is blasphemy, and I'm gonna get my podcast will get shut down. It's just on par with Empire Strikes Back. I don't really like that one either.
I love that one.
I know most people like most people. No, you're
They
right.
go,
Most people
"Crap,
love
is that-"
Empire Strikes Back. If you took a poll, I guarantee you, most people, the majority would rule out Empire is the best of the 3. It's kind of it's almost like a trope now. Everybody knows that 2 is the best one of the first 3. It's my least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too dark. It's depressing. Everybody freaking, the bad guys win. It was not, other than like you
You
get to see
need more
Yoda.
hero. You need more hero.
Yeah, it's
I
just, it
love when the
wasn't-
bad
It was,
guys
it was
win.
called
I think
The
it's great.
Empire Strikes Back. You
Doesn't mean they
realize-
win. They just strike back. I mean, you win. Let's say the Empire
I mean,
wins.
it is an empire
You strike
striking
back doesn't mean you
so-
win. You strike all you want. It's not going to let you win.
They're an empire.
That's why it's one of the reasons why Infinity
Should I
War was
won
one
the
of my
first
favorite
time then?
movies for a while. Is the fact that the good guys lost, and I was like, no
That
way.
was the best
Oh my
turn.
god, oh my god. I still remember when in the theaters. When when Thanos like snaps,
Yeah.
everyone in the room was silent. You could hear a pin drop.
And
I was
they're
like,
black
and it
stuff.
was a different silence from when like, oh, we're just watching the movie and being quiet out of courtesy. It was a different silence. Everyone's like,
Everybody stopped breathing.
yeah, everyone's like, oh my god.
Do you know why?
shite.
Because everybody had turned to dust.
That's right.
You're
Nobody
right.
left.
Half the theater was gone.
Half of it was gone.
I know we're way off topic, but let's flip it into what you're talking about. There is 5 years worth of story we know nothing about.
Wait,
Yes,
for-
but
That
I mean,
5-year blip.
they're
Who
arguing
wants
that
stories?
they're arguing
Wait.
that doesn't matter. It was just recovery.
I don't.
You talk about it in
not?
the Marvels.
Yeah, you got Wong is now Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was
Half
like,
the
oh my God, what are we
heroes
talking
there.
about? No.
Shit
Okay.
still went on.
No.
I want some
all
stories.
crime stopped for 5 years.
Apparently, because the half that went are all the criminals. Isn't that nice?
That would be convenient.
Wouldn't that be nice? Be snapping left, right, and center.
I don't know.
Shit.
Do we- do-
we're,
do
we're
we
gonna break
really
some almonds, we're
need-
gonna break some eggs here, but fuck it.
We gotta
Do
break
we
some
do we
eggs.
really need to know?
Yes.
I don't know.
Why
that we
not?
need
I
to
would
know.
like some sort of
Why?
spin-off or
I don't
something
think-
where you
Yeah,
get
a
to
Marvel
see.
show.
I don't think it would-
like
I
a
don't think it
Disney
would help
Plus
me
Marvel show.
to
It would be
digest the story more to know.
No,
what
no,
happened.
not to.
Just some, like-
it won't
like a what if
aid
thing,
in my
like, oh,
enjoyment or
I don't know.
of the Infinity War. Nothing at all. It won't change it for me. It'd just be fun to see some shit that went down. See some stuff that happened during that 5
Although
years.
I feel like it was enough to
It's
see
not- I
the
don't-
effect it had on
doesn't-
everyone.
I don't need it to.
You just want to be
Make it-
super
make-
depressed for about 5 years.
I want a 5 year
Because that whole 5
I
year
want the most
period was all
depressing
about
Marvel show I've ever
recovery.
seen.
People were pissed and depressed.
Depression.
And half their loved ones are gone.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Hawkeye,
it was a
Hawkeye's
massive
story
thing.
during that time or
I
something.
think there's a reason they went beyond that and just skipped it because it was super depressing.
They kind of touch on it though. Like as we're watching it, it's like they have like the support groups and stuff like that we see them in, and like Captain America's there, and he's like, I lost like half my
that whole
friends.
part of
But
the
we don't
first
see a
movie
lot
was
of like,
ugh.
we see a little bit of what they're in the background, like Natasha's sitting in the base, just chilling out in her socks.
Yeah,
and PB and J. You know what I mean?
But again, it's
Yeah.
like, well, what happened in 5 years? A lot of depressing shit. I don't know. Man.
Yeah, I don't know that I
like
need
you
to
see,
know.
Honestly,
you
I
see
really
what
don't
happened to
know.
Clint, right? Like
Yeah,
Hawkeye.
he
We
turns
see
into
some
Ronin.
We don't see all of it. We see
That
some
would be
Ronin.
But you
good.
see, but you
that
see
wouldn't be
what
bad.
effect it had on him, which is enough,
Yeah.
I think. Like in
Yeah, but
some
what about
people's
everybody
eyes.
else? What about
Everybody else
still
just
there?
chilled, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Apparently, they're all in their
and just
socks.
chilling out.
They're all sitting there in the socks. PB and J putting the feet up on the desk.
I mean,
get to
it's-
work.
I mean,
I
the depression would be real, right? Can you imagine?
you guys ever seen The
worldwide
Leftovers?
depression like that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't. I mean, I
Leftovers,
can't.
no.
But like,
It's like
sounds crazy.
Half the people you know are gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would suck.
Honestly,
it's a good
when
show.
they
It's kind of like
introduced that whole thing into
like
the next
this.
movie for the first 20 minutes, I was like, fuck.
It was
You know,
long.
like,
It was hard.
wow. Like I felt it in my soul too. Because when I first saw them all die in the first one, I was like, oh my God, that like it affects
And what was
you.
worse is that it doesn't. They don't reset that.
They don't.
Right? It doesn't we don't just blip them back immediately.
Yeah.
It's still 5 years later, everybody
Yeah.
flips back.
Yeah. And so,
So
like
that
I don't
5 years
need
doesn't get changed.
I don't need
It's
that
still
kind of
happening.
depression, man. Life's hard enough.
I
I go to movies because I want to
think-
be like taken away to a fun story. I don't need to watch movies that are going to depress me.
Why did you see the Nolan Batman? I'm kidding.
Jesus.
Yeah, like honestly,
Oh my
I don't,
God.
I don't
That was
need to
just you,
see.
Mila.
No.
I don't need to see why and how Wong became Sorcerer Supreme. I don't
Yeah,
care.
this was
funny.
pretty straightforward.
Oh, that
I honestly
was
don't
funny.
really
love
care all
Wong.
that
I wanna
much.
see
I know.
I wanna
And
see
I
him
love Wong to
fry
bits.
shit.
I don't care though.
I
wanna
don't
see
need a
him.
whole series or a whole movie of Wong.
I want no,
Yeah,
no,
no.
but again, almost like a what if. You show one episode of you do like a Disney show, right? And you see one episode of different, like this is a Wong episode, and how he becomes friends with
Abomination.
Abomination, excuse me. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. Like we got this friendship all of a sudden. We know nothing of how those two became friends, right? Just little bits. Little 45-minute episode on this is what happened when.
But then those are flashbacks, and we all know how Larry feels about flashbacks.
We know
I
he
won't
hates
listen.
the flashback. That'll be an entire series of flashbacks. Larry's out.
I'm out.
Larry is out. Screw it. He will not be here
I'm
for the
going
weekly. He will not be here for the weekly digest
No.
on that.
No way.
No, not on a flashback after flat.
It's an
Pound
entire.
sand.
That's what they're gonna call it. Flashbacks.
Yeah,
Flashbacks. No Larry.
I'm in.
Let's do this.
Flashbacks for Larry. That's awesome.
That's a new podcast. series.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Any last final words on Big Trouble in Little China?
We went all over the place. Clearly,
Understatement.
We do that every single time, but that's
Fair
okay.
enough.
This is what podcast does.
at the end of the day,
And people love it. On
This-
Good Pods, last time I checked, we were number 3 in the arts and indie podcast, number 3,
Hey,
but number
yo.
6 overall. We beat other podcasts like
Let's
NPR,
go.
does books, all kinds of different stuff. So in the overall for arts, not include indie and regular, we're number 6.
hey,
We're
thanks,
number
Hey,
six.
guys.
We are doing well. So
Thanks,
thank you to those
listeners.
good
You
pods.
guys are pretty
Thanks,
dope.
everybody out
We
there.
appreciate that.
So I mean, so overall, great cult movie. Loved it in the '80s. I can still watch it today and laugh. And like we've talked about, it's
Even though
kind of
it
like
doesn't
that
hold up,
little
still
good thing.
watch it.
It definitely does not hold up. If it's a remake, it's a remake in name and premise only, sort of.
Yep,
Done.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Bruno?
I said
I think if I were to watch it again, I'd have to have a lot of alcohol. It would be something I'd
You
watch.
don't need it. I watched it
It'd be-
last night,
It'd be
completely
like
sober.
something I'd watch on like a Friday night with some buddies, and just
I gotta
just
tell
if
ya.
you need to laugh.
I know you
'cause
watched it
it's
last night.
Really
Yep.
bad, but
Amy watched it
bad,
last
it's good.
night, and Amy is tough on movies. She's picky. She didn't watch the last. So this is one thing. Like my wife and I always said, we're not that far in age. We're only 2 years apart, right? So essentially, we grew up at the same time. but she did not watch the stuff I watched. Her childhood was vastly different. I always say I'm sorry. I feel bad for her, but the reality is she read more books. She got her master's degree.
Books? What are
she
those?
did not have time to watch the bullshit
I'm
I
sorry.
was
I'm sorry. My
watching.
generation's doesn't know. We're
She's
supposed
smart.
to know what a
Yeah,
book
she beats
is.
me
I'm
under the
sorry.
table. So that's my point. So I asked her, like, did you see this? She's like, you know my child. You fucking know I didn't see that. She's like, do you seriously? Eddie Murphy Raw came out in the late 80s. I did not watch Eddie Murphy Raw. I'm like, really? I saw it in the theaters with my mother. But the point is, right? So that's the point, right? Very different. So she finally watched this movie last night and she's like, that was the worst movie. I'm really glad I got to see.
Yeah.
She's like, this is so ridiculous. This is awesome.
I have no idea how
and
I got
that's
onto
to me
these
the
types of
movie.
movies.
It is so
No idea.
ridiculous. It's
But
awesome.
I did, and I love them.
Yeah, it's the best.
I'm like,
that's
my
the
mom
key
didn't
right
show
there.
me
That's
those
it.
movies. My dad never showed
Yep.
me those movies.
mean,
my
there's a reason.
sisters never found them. I just discovered them. I was like, these are great. Like
Fun.
those raunchy movies
got a
you'd
list.
never tell anyone you
We got
watched
a
unless
list
you
for ya.
know who you're talking to.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about movies
Oh.
Super classic.
that super classic
My
does
God.
not hold up.
Dialing a
No.
notch back. Porky's.
Porky's,
God.
another
Oh
one
my
does
God.
not. There is some things that are going on there that
That
like
should never happen
Porky's
even in
is
the
a movie that
70s.
I'm like I'm looking
Yeah.
at it
I
going.
can't even believe that. Like looking back now, I can't believe that movie got made.
I know. Even back in the late
Even back
70s.
in the
it was-
70s,
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I can't. That movie was, and then
Borderline porn.
Yeah.
Really,
It really was. It's
Taboo.
you know, Lassie, and then the shower scenes. Like what were they thinking?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah, Clockwork
All right.
Orange.
All right, everybody.
That was pretty
Clockwork
bad.
Orange.
That was
That's
bad.
That's a different
That's-
genre
Yeah.
altogether.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's a whole
All
nother
right.
ball game.
Yeah.
All right, gang. Thank you, guys. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Say goodbye.
All right,
We
thanks,
got Larry,
everyone.
Bruno,
Later,
and
later.
Sheila. We will see you guys soon. Remember to engage with us online at entertainmentrants.com. Hit us up on our email at engage@entertainmentrants. Drop us a line. Tell us what you'd like us to rant about. Feel free to drop us a podcast review on Apple Podcasts. And check us out on Entertainment Rants on social media and Entertain Rants on Twitter. All right, everybody, get out there and keep ranting.